everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of Science Bytes with Miss Nicole from Bloomfield Public Library. And I'm very excited about our October project. Today, we are going to be making slime, but not just any slime. We're going to do a little twist on the usual recipe, and we're going to make a heat-sensitive, color-changing slime. And it requires a very special ingredient. So I did prepare kits at both of our library locations for all of my scientists to pick up. They're available while supplies last, so hopefully you are all able to get one. If you didn't get to pick up a kit, give me a call at the Prosser Library location, the number's below, and I may have some extra supplies and I might be able to put something together for you. Before we get started with our actual slime project, I wanted to talk a little bit about what makes slime, slime. And this brings up one of my very favorite science subjects, which is polymers. What is a polymer? A polymer is a chain of a lot of little individual parts. Poly, the beginning of that word, means many. And what makes up a polymer is something called a monomer. And the beginning of that word, mono, means one. So to give you a visual to help you understand what that all means, let's say that this little bead is a monomer. It's one bead, it's a monomer. And in order to make a polymer chain, a chain of many things, we get something that looks like this. So you can see that all these individual monomer beads link together and form a polymer chain. And in our slime recipe, the polymers are found in our glue. So the glue is still pretty liquid. It moves slowly, but it moves. And in the glue is our polymer chains. But it's pretty goopy. It's not really slime yet. It's not firm enough to be slime. So what we do is we add liquid starch. And liquid starch is a substance that is going to help link together our polymer chains and to make it a firmer substance. So we're going to take all these individual polymer chains in the glue, add the liquid starch, and now we're going to have polymer chains that are linked together. And that's where we get our firmer substance, or our slime. Let's walk through the ingredients we have before we actually start mixing things together. A lot of these items are things that you can also get on your own. The one tricky ingredient, which I'll show you in a little bit, is our extra special ingredient that makes the slime a little different. That might be hard for you to get. So what I gave you is glue, and I measured out 1/4 cup. So here's my 1/4 cup. So you got 1/4 cup of glue, and it's just regular Elmer's glue. At the library, I have a big jug of it. But if you were doing this from home, you could probably just get one container of glue like this, and this would give you enough glue. I also gave you liquid starch. And liquid starch is found in the laundry aisle at the supermarket. Looks something like this. There's different brands. Any brand will work. I also gave you a bowl so we can mix our slime in this. You don't even have to dirty up your dishes at home. This is what we'll mix our slime in. And inside this was the little container of thermochromic powder. This is our extra special ingredient. When you buy the powder, I bought it from Amazon. It comes in usually 10 gram or 20 gram packs. This is a 20 gram bag of the thermochromic powder. And it was about, depending on the seller, it was anywhere from, I think, $16 to $20. So I made sure I gave everybody 1 teaspoon of thermochromic powder. The only ingredient that I didn't provide that you will want to have on hand, you will need a little bit of water. You only need 1 tablespoon of water. So if you have a little cup nearby and you just fill it with water, that'll be enough. And you can just dip your tablespoon measurer in there and pour it into your experiment. And also, as an optional ingredient, is food coloring. And it's nice if you can do the food coloring. We have blue powder, so I'm going to recommend that we use the yellow food coloring. So what will happen is we'll see our blue slime, but when it gets heated up, it'll turn yellow. It'll be a yellowish color, a bright yellowish color. If you don't have food coloring, that's okay. It'll just go to its neutral state, which is white. So you'll see it change from blue to white. So don't worry if you don't have food coloring. I will add some yellow to mine, but you do not have to add any food coloring to yours. So now that we've walked through our ingredients, I say we get started on our recipe. Okay, the first thing we want to do is pour our glue into our larger cup. So I'm going to take the lid off. I'm going to use the plastic spoon that I included in your kits. I'm going to pour all that glue into the bowl. And you can scrape it, try and get as much of that glue out as possible, because that's going to form the base of our slime. So the more glue we have, the better. All right. And to that, we are going to add, here's my little cup of water, 1 tablespoon of water. And I'm going to just go in here, get my tablespoon of water, and pour that right in. And now you just want to stir until that water is incorporated into the glue. Might take a minute or two. Initially, it might not quite want to combine, but keep stirring, be patient. And I've just about got it. And there, you can see that now it's nice and smooth. That water's incorporated into the glue. All right. This is the time where you want to make sure you now definitely have your gloves on, because food coloring can actually be pretty messy. Even just taking off the lid, you're going to get food coloring on your fingers. There's no real measurement for the food coloring. You can use your best judgment. I usually use about 5 or 6 drops. We'll do 6. And now I'm going to stir that into my glue and water mixture. You can see how it's making a really nice bright yellow. And now we are going to add the very extra special ingredient, the thermochromic pigment. And this is what's going to make it change color when it gets heated. But I'm going to pour in, I'll even shake some off of my lid. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. And now it might take a little while for this to incorporate into the glue. So again, you have to be patient. Stir gently. Stirring fast doesn't make it come together any quicker. In fact, sometimes if you do it just nice and slow and steady, it'll work a little quicker for you. You want to take your time and get that to incorporate. And as you stir it in, you're going to see that yellow or white, if you didn't food color, disappear, and it's going to become blue. And that's okay, because that's what we're going for. So keep stirring. You can see how it's changing color. Ooh, it's actually becoming like a green. If you didn't use any yellow food coloring, you were probably just seeing something that's more like a bright blue. And that's pretty well incorporated. So now we can set our spoon aside for, well, actually, we'll leave our spoon there for a second. The final ingredient is our liquid starch. And this is also, I also did 1/4 cup of the liquid starch. And you may not need all of this. So I'm going to start by only pouring in half of what's in this container. You might not need all of it. The slime will tell you when it's done. So I'm going to pour about half in. See, I still have a bunch left. I'm going to start stirring. You can already see how it's sticking together. It's sticking together like slime. And I think I will not actually need to use any more. I think it's going to be okay with just that. Now, this is another reason why gloves are good, because at some point, you need to just get your hands in there and start incorporating and making sure it's coming together the way you want. This might be a little sticky still, so I'm actually going to add a little more starch. If you're noticing that it's sticking to your gloves, like it is to mine, it might not be fully done, so I'm going to add a little more starch. I want it to be a little more solid. I want those polymer chains to really link together. And now, ooh, it's pretty goopy. But it's firmer than it was before, and that's what I want. All right, it's coming together nicely. It's a little sticky. Maybe I'll even add just a little bit more. There we go. Because like I said, the slime tells you when it's done. It knows when it has enough starch. At some point, it won't need any more liquid starch to combine. I think mine is pretty good. So now is the time to start beginning our experimenting with the temperature. As I described when we were making the slime, you probably have some of the liquid starch left over. You can see I didn't use all of mine. The slime tells you when it's done. If it's sticky, you probably should be adding more of the liquid starch. If it's nice and firm and a lot of the liquid starch is not incorporating into the slime, that means you're done and you don't need to add any more liquid starch. And this is the slime that I ended up with. Mine's sort of a turquoise blue, probably because of the yellow. If you did not add yellow food coloring, yours is probably a brighter color of blue. Now we are going to test the color changing capabilities of our slime. And that's where this cute little Dixie cup comes in handy, because it's also 86 degrees of anything is a little too hot for us to hold in our bare hands. I didn't want to touch something that hot. So what I did, I came up with this idea all on my own. I used a hot water kettle, so I heated up some water, the same way you would do if you were making tea for yourself. And what we're going to do is pour that hot water about halfway up the cup. We don't want to go all the way up, because then it's still going to be hot to hold the cup. So you want to go halfway up, but leave the top half clear so that you can hold it with your fingers and it won't be too hot, okay? And I will show you what it looks like when our slime changes color. I'm going to fill this little cup halfway up. Be careful, because that water is hot. But remember what I said, only go about halfway. And if you look at my cup, you can, well, kind of see there's lots of room at the top so that my fingers can comfortably hold the cup. And now what you can do is you're actually going to press the bottom of the cup where it's hottest against the slime and hold it there for a few seconds. And if all goes well, you should see a color change. I'm going to squish it right in there, hold it in place. And when I pull it away, look at that. We have a change in color. And because I used yellow food coloring, my circle is yellowish. If you did not add food coloring, this would be a white spot. Now, you can actually test heat in another way. This was a way I came up with because it seemed like a really good dramatic way to see that color change. You could actually see this change with a hairdryer. Now, if you were going to do it with your hairdryer, what I would recommend is that you separate your slime in two pieces like this. Because with a hairdryer, we have all that hot air that comes out of the hairdryer, but it's not a very focused stream of air, right? It's a broad range of air. So it's going to heat up this entire section of slime. So this whole blob of slime will change color. And the way for you to best notice the change is to compare it side by side with an original piece of the slime. And that is our project for the day, heat-changing, color-sensitive slime. So hopefully, and you can actually have some fun just with the slime itself. Now, with slime projects, you can actually save the slime for a little while. You can put it in a plastic baggie and it will keep for a little while. If you are just going to throw it away, please be sure to not put it down the drain. Do not put it down your sink drain. Throw it into your regular trash bin. Slime does not play well with sink drains. Your parents will not be happy about that. So definitely, if you are just throwing it away, throw it away in the garbage, not down the sink. But that's our whole project for the day. If for some reason, like I said, if you didn't get a chance to pick up a kit at the library and you wanted to do this project at home, I may have some supplies for you. I do have a limited supply of some more of the thermochromic powder. And that's the important ingredient, because that's going to be the tricky one to get. The other ingredients, the white glue and the liquid starch, are things that you can pick up in most grocery stores. But this one is a little trickier to get. So I can put a little of this into a container for you if you didn't get a chance to pick up a kit. And I hope you enjoyed this project. And I look forward to seeing you all next month for our next edition of Science Bytes. Bye, everybody.